What's up, buds, and welcome to a new episode of the Earbuds Podcast, the podcast where two friends talk about one album for a certain amount of time. We are your hosts, Ash and Lucas, and we're here to talk about kind of a underground, under talked about album. I don't think I've met anyone that actually knows this band and likes them. Like they have 34,000 followers on Spotify though, so at least there's that. It's a band called Maps and Atlases with their album Beware and Be Grateful. It came out in 2013, and I brought this record to the podcast.
Yeah, I've one of the many people that has not heard about Maps and Atlases, and definitely not heard any of their music.
I was wondering if you had heard
like,
anything by them before this.
No. I'd heard nothing by them, and I feel like this album is this kind of a weird album to drop in on?
You know what is crazy? This album was one of my favorite like indie rock records for a good chunk of time, like for during the era that I was really listening to all this stuff, and I never once checked out any of their other songs or any of their other albums. Not once. So I have
even still to
this day, I haven't listened to like Patchwork or something. I think it's the album that came out before this one. I haven't listened to any of it. So I have no idea if this is like a weird album for them or if it's kind of more of the same, because they were together for like 8 years before they even released this record. So
yeah,
I have no idea.
I think they've been making music since 2009, and they on Wikipedia it says they're sometimes declared as math rock, and that tripped me up. I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about, because this album is like has some kind of prog elements here and there, but it's mostly just kind of a like almost a folk alt rock thing.
See, I was wondering how you felt about that, because you're like my one math rock friend, and I was wondering if you picked up on that, because I think from like someone who doesn't listen to a lot of math rock, this does feel like a math rock album to me.
Really?
Yeah, like I feel like they're mostly considered like indie rock, right? Or just alternative rock or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
Which isn't wrong, but me as like an outsider of the math rock like genre, to me this is more math rock than anything else. Like, because I feel like their guitar work is super intricate and staccato, and the drums are really minimal and like punchy and are just kind of playing tag team with the guitars, where they're just kind of like filling in the spots for each other. And it is all very like tick, 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 like very plucky and picky and everything. So to me, that is always what I could relate to math rock, is just like staccato, tight rhythms, tight playing, very little groove or soul in it. It's just very like kind of fucking mathematical.
I don't. There are definitely moments on this record where you can kind of hear them doing these guitar things, and like you don't really hear that kind of stuff unless you're in some kind of prog or math rock thing.
Right.
But I certainly would not say this is a math rock album.
That's interesting.
It seems like to me it felt like a folk band that got into math rock that started playing folk music.
It is weird to hear. There's a lot of folk elements in it, especially with the kind of banjo mandolin style picking that they'll do in certain parts of the songs, where it's like digga 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 digga, the kind of like 3-finger picking that is like banjo-y or whatever. Like I can hear that, where you kind of get this like Appalachian kind of country folk sounding like strumming patterns.
But I don't know. I would mark this as like alt rock.
For sure.
It feels like it has a lot of they were trying to make some catchy songs. They were trying to make some like almost, it sounds like accessible music to me.
Yeah, I think I would say alongside, the math rock or just the, indie rock or alt rock vibes in this. I feel like the next most obvious thing that I was able to pull out of it is just this like really pretty technical like pop songwriting sensibility in there too, where it's like there's so much of this album is super catchy, really fun to just kind of like dance along with and sing along with, and it kind of like, so, and it has a very verse chorus bridge chorus kind of, songwriting also. It's like, I think there's a lot of really good pop sensibilities on this record that kind of make it more accessible for someone who might not usually listen to music that's this kind of weird and intricate,
Yeah. And it kind of, I feel like I figured it out when I listened to a different band. I don't know if that happens to you often, but I just happened to remember Elbow, right?
Yeah.
And their album, The Seldom Seen Kid. I was like, oh, I think I used to be into that. Let me listen to that, listen back to this album, and it's like, oh, I think I kind of understand better what they were doing here after listening to that album. Especially on songs like let me get the fucking like Remote and Dark Ears and Important. I feel like reminded me a lot of Elbow and maybe a little like Future Islands, but that might just be the singer.
Well, it might be, man. We'll get into the singer. But yeah, no, there's a lot of, you mentioned like Future Islands and Elbow, which I think are also kind of 80s influenced bands. And there's a decent amount of obvious 80s influence in this, from like specifically like the Boys of Summer, that one song, like that that kind of like note progression, and kind of on the more rockin' songs, I think it's Vampires is a little bit more of like a straightforward kind of alt rock song, and that one reminded me a lot of something that you hear from like the Cars or Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers or something. Like very catchy 80s power pop stuff. And and yeah, I definitely picked up on a lot of the 80s stuff. It's funny that you had to listen to a different band to understand this band a little bit better. I don't know if that's ever happened to me.
I think another thing that helped me understand this band a lot better was that they described their music as all these kind of proggy elements, these things you don't usually hear in like, I guess, pop songwriting, and them trying to make it sound natural. These unnatural things. Right.
Which also, and with the music, I feel like the melodies can fall within that same kind of interesting category where it's like the melodies are weird sometimes and the lyrics don't always fit neatly in each line and everything, but then it's the way that he sings it. I love Dave Davison's voice, and I feel like the way that he sings, that is the most heart to me in the band. And because of that, like he makes these melodies make sense. These kind of pop melodies that are weird, but also work for this weird poppy, folky indie rock too.
It could be kind of hard to find your place in a band that makes music like this, I guess, where there's kind of a lot of involved stuff, though it's a little more subtle.
Yes. A lot of it is very understated.
I felt like maybe he was hamming it up a little much on Old and Grey. Old and Grey. I'm old and grey.
Oh, dude. I mean, Be 3 Years Old on that one is when Dave's voice, I was like, you are testing my patience with your voice on this song. But, in a way that I still loved it because it's such a weird, unique voice. He has such a weird voice.
It almost sounds like he's the incarnation of like, I don't know, you just imagine it fucking, I don't know a better word for it, a hillbilly like on their porch, like playing the banjo, and they're like, hello.
Yeah, this super nasally, high-pitched voice that should not work, that should not be this pleasant to listen to. And it is. And I really do think it's because there's so many catchy parts to sing along with. Most of the songs are in major key, right? Like pretty standard pop songwriting. Like you could say the music, one of the main critiques I have of this album is you could say that this music does kind of lack a little heart Like it feels a little cold. Like maybe
Yeah.
it needs a little more. I feel like it needs some more blood in the veins to like make it warmer. You know?
I think I think that makes sense that you feel that way with how mechanical a lot of like math
Yes.
rock can be
Yes.
and seem. Uh, I'm sure live these songs are killer.
Sure. If they can recreate them, faithfully to the album, yeah, these would be great live. That was actually my introduction to Maps and Atlases. The first time I saw them, it was live. It was 2011 Houston Free Press Summerfest.
2011. So this album wasn't even out yet.
This album wasn't even out yet, but I swear they played Old and Gray and Silver Self. I swear they did live because those two songs always stood out to me.
They probably did. They probably played the singles, I guess.
Yeah, they must have already had some of this stuff written, because I swear. Yeah. But dude, it was crazy. Like they immediately caught my attention because they were the first band that you see when you go into the festival, like when the festival opens, and it was like a tiny, tiny side stage on the side of the vent of the grounds, and there was probably like 15 people watching them, and
damn.
And I immediately, me and my friend Bud just stopped in our tracks, and I think Bud had already heard of them before, and maybe he even suggested that we go check them out at the stage. But that was first for me, and I had never seen anything that I would have considered kind of math prog live ever before. So to me, it was like seeing the singer playing all these like really intricate guitar parts and singing at the same time. That was enough to blow me away. And then I saw them again because they toured with RX Bandits. I don't know if that was before or after, actually. Now I'm getting confused. But they opened for RX Bandits because they were on the same label at one point. That might have been way back in the day, actually. Maybe the first time I saw them was like 2007 or 2006 or something.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
They'd be like an opening band for RX Bandits. That makes sense.
Yeah. Plus there was like a direct connection because they were on the same label for a couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sergeant House.
I watched a couple live videos of these guys, and they definitely have other songs on other albums that are like very mathy, very like a lot of kind of like tapping and weird rhythms.
That's probably what came before this. And then this one was maybe their more accessible poppy side coming out.
Yeah. It seems very flowy throughout the whole thing. It feels like it has a nice kind of momentum going through it. I don't know. There's a cool feel to it.
I think the songs are a little long for kind of poppy music.
I got that feeling on a couple of them. I feel like the ending of Old and Gray was kind of got to me. And Silver Self maybe. I mean, there were a couple, but
yeah, there were a couple that were almost 6 minutes long. There were maybe two that were
egregious.
Like, no, that's like to me it was like these songs could feel like they are too long, but they layer it with so much music and all these little random little elements in it, especially like rhythmic elements, that I never really got bored listening to any one song. And it is kind of like a feel good record. It's like something to put on to kind of dance around and be happy to for the most part.
Sure.
But it does feel a little cold at the same time. It's like it doesn't have this kind of staying power I feel like it should, because it's a feel-good record that is also kind of melancholy and cold and weird,
Is that just... I mean, it feels kind of... I guess through a lot of the songs it can feel kind of held back.
Yeah.
That they're maybe not really going all in, that they're kind of keeping a steady beat for a lot of these songs and not rising too much with the dynamics, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they kind of are playing essentially the same thing for the whole length of the song. And they're just either bringing it up or bringing it down or stripping something out of it and bringing it back. It's like that's how they kind of play with the dynamics, but there's not really much else going on in the music.
Having just listened to Bugs,
that's my least favorite song.
It's got the most... It has a very tappy riff. I don't know if you would say it's like math rock, but it just has like through the whole 3 minutes.
Yeah.
With kind of, as you said, things coming in, going out, whatever.
It has the bass at least doing some interesting kind of Talking Heads, Paul Simon-ish
Speaking of
stuff.
the bassist,
Uh,
I love that guy.
I feel like
I thought he was doing.
I was trying so hard to pick up on what the bassist was doing on most songs, and the only song that he stood out to me was Bugs.
Bugs was pretty good. It sounded pretty clear to me, which usually I have to like fight to hear the bass and maybe like mess with some settings.
Yeah, especially with your 5 or below fucking headphones.
Yeah, with my
your air whores. The worst name ever.
HOO. Yeah, I don't even know how to pronounce it. I don't know if I'm doing it right.
It's got to be air whores, and that's horrible. That's how Danny DeVito pronounces whores on Always Sunny. Whores. So that's what I think about every time.
I'm not using those.
Okay.
Right now.
Good. Because those are garbage.
But yeah, I thought it was a nice, clean, round sounding bass. I thought it was perfect for the music around it. They like to, I don't know. It's mostly also clean through the whole record. That might be another reason why you thought it was kind of didn't have too much heart, because it's a lot of clean guitars.
Lots of clean guitars. Not really. I can't remember any distortion on this.
If there is, it's very subtle. Yeah. I don't think I noticed it too much.
If there is, it's probably like the Brit rock distortion, just like really light distortion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty. The whole album's pretty clean. I would say production wise, I really like this album. I think it holds up. It doesn't sound dated to me. It's 11 years old at this point.
Yeah, I think it's very clean. It's very nice to listen through some good speakers. I'm sure it'll give you some like, it like eargasms.
Yeah,
at certain moments.
I have this on vinyl, and it's great on vinyl.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, it adds a warmth that you don't get in a streaming music service. Like it does have this kind of and
it's like
and
not
the bass,
right way to listen. Like
I
should go fuck myself, basically.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
This can be our last episode.
Yeah, we were ending on a high note, like maps and atlases.
Yeah, I feel like what else are we gonna do after this? We've reached pinnacle.
I think we've done every album, right?
Yeah, we've reached that point.
We did Washed Out. We did
2 Action Bronson records, and I think that's all he has.
I think he's only got 1 or 2.
2 RX Bandits records. I think they only have those 2. I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. If you think we've missed anything, be sure to comment. Please comment. Please say something. But I think we got it.
Yeah, because other than Action Bronson and JID and Kendrick, I don't think there's a
record we did.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like, are there any other rappers except those 3 people that we've talked about?
Earth Gang.
Earth Gang, that's the other. See, I always forget that.
EP. That was cute.
Yeah, that was cute. That was cute.
That was cute.
I feel like we're tapped at this point. Can I give you a real hot take about this album?
Yeah, what's that?
This is a spicy take. I think this album, and I was trying to think of other records, and I really couldn't think of any other record that the first 3 songs on this album are like my favorite first 3 songs of any record.
Really?
I think so. Like Old and Gray, Fever, and Winter, I think are essentially 3 movements of the same song. And they all flow so well into each other. And I was like, I can't think of another album where the first 3 songs are like hit this well and set up this good of a vibe and are just as good as the last song,
I'm sorry, I was just listening to Future Sex Love Sounds by Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, I never heard it.
It's a lot of sex. It's a lot of sexy shit happening on that record.
Okay, so I can pop one off to that album, but I'm not going to do that to this.
Well, that's unfortunate. That speaks to the band, I think.
I think like I said, they're cold. They're from Chicago. Their hearts are constantly thawing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're just cold. They're cold people.
I think it's a great lineup too, dude. We might be talking about those songs in depth later on.
Oh, we will.
But yeah, I thought it was a great opener. I thought it was a great way to start off the album. I didn't think so much about the end of the record,
Dude,
I guess.
you took the words right out of my mouth. That is my biggest complaint about this album, is that it ends on kind of a dud. Like the last 3 songs are sort of boring.
Yeah, Bugs again kind of has that tapping rhythm throughout the whole thing. Old Ash kind of also has this, like, how would you describe this kind of guitar rhythm? That
The best thing I could think was like Caribbean. I was like, maybe this sounds a little kind of Caribbean. Like it sounds like something that you play on a steel drum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It sounds like a steel drum line that is played on a guitar or something.
And then Important always kind of, I don't know, it kind of just like slid off my shoulders. I didn't really attach on to anything about that track.
I thought it was nice, like a nice kind of like musical, theatrical sounding closing track. But I agree, man, because I listened to this album more times than I can remember. Those 3 songs, it's probably been 5 years since I've listened to this album. I don't remember those 3 songs. And so if this album ended on Be 3 Years Old, I'm like, God, this would be just a 9 out of 10 record for me, if not 10 out of 10, to be honest. And
really,
yeah. And it's like, and it's just because I love every song until Bugs, Old Ash, and Important. Those last 3 songs, I'm just like, man, they leave such a boring taste in my mouth, you know?
Damn, dude.
Yeah. It's a
rough.
little disappointing. It's a kind of a lame way to end an album.
What if you had a choice? You would just take those 3 songs out. You wouldn't rearrange it or anything.
I would take them out. The only thing maybe I would rearrange is like Remote and Dark Years sounds like a closing track to a record. So I'm like, I would move Remote and Dark Years to the end. That way you have your kind of slower song to close.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Right? And that's it.
And it's got that kind of I don't want no
Anymore.
more.
You know, it has that
Like
very
Future Island sounding.
Very
that particular part.
Yeah, very. And God, I love the singer of Future Islands. And it has that kind of finale feel to that melody too.
Sure.
You know, like just he's always ending on the lower note.
And it kind of rises up and kind of gets bigger by the end. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that would have been my edit for them. Would be like, hey guys, maybe we can think about you can remove those last 3 songs, trim off about 10 minutes, 12 minutes off the runtime, and have just a 30-minute, 32-minute fucking
solid fucking record.
Yeah, solid indie rock record. And I think that would have done a lot for this album. But with that said, I fucking love this record.
Well, I'm interested to hear what you love the singer.
Love the singer.
I'm into the bassist at least. You couldn't hear him too well.
Bassist is great. It's fine.
The guitars are great the whole time. They're doing interesting stuff. I think the drums do very interesting stuff. You can kind of hear that thing of like, they're probably a lot better than they're playing.
For
you know,
sure.
like you could just feel like, oh, they could do some crazy shit, but
Yeah.
they're not, because this is music and this is what we're doing.
The only time he got to flex a little bit was like, what song was it? Was it Vampires? Where he does a little bit more than just playing the rhythm of the song. He does that like he's just doing super simple tom fills. And I'm like, well, he is shining on this record, on this album, or that track. Because I'm like, I haven't heard he do really much else that's that interesting, except like maybe Silver Cell. Because I love that kind of West African,
Yeah, he kind of has that rhythm going about it. There's some percussion going throughout the whole song.
Yes, very kind of Vampires Weekend-esque also.
Yeah,
They
Vampire
borrowed from
Week.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one song on here, I forget which one it was, but it sounds like the drummer's taking a steady beat while maybe someone else is doing like some percussion on the toms.
It might be Silver Self because you hear like rim shots a lot going on in the background of Silver Self.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, and it also sounds like the drums could be electronic, like programmed drums.
Sure, it sounds like they could be a combination.
Yeah, for sure. Like it might have been something that the drummer programmed, and then he's playing those like little staccato fill parts in between to kind of flesh it out a little bit.
Sure.
But yeah, drummer, perfectly serviceable. Totally agree that it sounds like he's probably much better than than he's able to do in this band. So I commend the self-control, because if only for Mark's Bandits was in this band, he'd be just stealing the show and probably ruining the songs.
Put him in any band and he probably ruins the song.
Yeah. He could, yeah. As much as like we love everything that Chris can do, it's like, yeah, I'm glad he has the context of Mark's Bandits in that.
You can only like hold him back so much,
Yeah. Have you heard any of his electronic stuff?
No, I haven't.
I think it's called Technology. Is his like side project.
How am I supposed to find that?
Dude, it's really hard to find. It's like they his side project Technology, and the saxophonist from Mark's Bandits that left, and he made a band called Satori. Turns out Satori is like some fucking Buddhist meditation genre of music, or like just a term that's used in Buddhism a lot. So like you look up Satori and it's all this like meditation fucking hand drum music, and it's like so hard to find their fucking album, and they're like a reggae band. And it's like why you guys picked like the worst fucking SEO names possible?
You just gotta know. You just gotta know if you want to know,
Technology had some really fucking cool stuff back in like 2005, 2006. And I recently found him again somehow on Spotify, and he did a song with Matt Embry that was like fucking phenomenal.
Is it an electronic band? Or?
Yeah, it's like a techno electronic song, and Matt Embry singing on it, and it's so good.
Oh, cool.
I mean,
I'll check that out.
Yeah.
If I can find them.
Yeah, but I would say like my main complaint is the ending of the album. That's really the only thing I'm just like, I wish it was a little better. What did you think of the lyrics? Because you're a
the
lyrics
were
person.
good.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the lyrics. Usually you get one of two polar opposites that's like, it's so plain, there's not really a lot of like creativity or color in there, or it's so abstract that you like can't make heads or tails. I feel like this was a place real nice in the middle. There's got a lot of colorful imagery, metaphors that give you a nice image in your head, while not giving everything to you.
Yeah.
You gotta figure some stuff out on your own. You gotta interpret stuff your own way. I like the lyrics.
Yeah, I like the lyrics too. I thought they were really interesting, and sort of poetic, and like you said, a little metaphorical, obviously alluding to things that probably that are probably very personal to Dave. And if I was a smarter man, and with more time on my hands, to be honest, like I would probably be able to parse out more about what he's talking about and what he's trying to get across. But it kind of, I don't really care. Like, it doesn't really matter to me if I know what he's talking about. I like the lyrics, and I think they're super fun to sing along to. So I'm like, I don't care what you're saying. Like, I'm singing along because this is so catchy.
Well, that's I'm sure he would like to ask you a couple questions about that.
Yeah, right. God, I can't imagine if like me as a singer-songwriter, someone being like, I don't even care what your lyrics are. I'm like, well, fuck. I work super.
He's like, you're giving this album like an 8 or like a 7 or an 8 or something, and you've listened so many times, and you have it on vinyl, and you know all the songs by heart, and you don't give a fuck about the lyrics. Like, damn.
I mean, honestly, this time around was the first time I really dove into the lyrics of the album, because for the most part, you can kind of understand what he's saying. But like that on Vampires, where he's saying like, "You're all dry wood or dried wood." You are all dried wood. You are all dried. I had no idea what he was saying there for like years and years and years. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm just going to sing along phonetically with whatever he's saying. The only song that the song that stood out to me the most, where the lyrics I honestly almost made me cry, was Important. That song to me, really,
Damn.
I was like, I know what he's talking about. And, or to me, I interpret it into something, and I was just like, fuck, that's heavy. You know, talking about like when the curtain closes, you'll get everything you want. You know, like once you get to this certain place, you'll have everything you need, and you'll, you know, it's like you'll be living your best life at a certain point. And to me, he's talking about it in the sense of you could look at it either way, where it's like he's talking about it as you found a new life or new life in death. You know?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that's why it got me, obviously, because my dog and everything, and I was just listening to that song. I'm like, fuck, god damn it. You know, I'm just like, that's a good one. That's a good one for sure. But all the other ones, I was just like, he kind of just sounds like he's just talking about stuff, and I just don't care, and it doesn't matter to me because I like it.
Well, I guess he can't ask much more from you.
Yeah, right. It's like, hey man, at least I still fucking like it.
I'm very curious where you're gonna rank this album in terms of score.
Yeah,
As you haven't listened to it in 5 years, this is something you heard in 2011, which,
yes,
I mean, 13 years ago.
Yeah, 13 years ago. Fucking Jesus. Yeah, like, I was curious what I was going to give it to, because I feel like I want to ignore the last 3 songs, because they're not bad songs. They're just they just don't. They're standouts in a bad way.
I don't think they're bad. They're definitely not doing anything weird that would turn you off. It just,
Right.
They kind of have, what they are seems a little, not bland, but just like, it's kind of same the whole time. It's kind of,
They seemed like B-sides. They seemed like songs that they weren't even that excited about. You know what I mean? Like, you can kind of feel that there's a lack of energy there.
Sure.
Except maybe on Important. Important just sounds like a very personal song.
Yeah.
But, you know, the universe has to balance one way or another, because these are the first 3 songs are like probably my favorite first 3 songs of any record. So the last 3 songs, you know, it's got to balance out. It's got to be like, maybe I don't like those so much. But yeah, man, I've always loved this record. I have a very personal connection to this album. I've always thought of Maps and Atlases as a kind of like redheaded stepchild in the world of indie rock. They're weird. They're different. They introduce a lot of elements that other indie rock doesn't. It feels very genuine to them, so I think that's why they pull it off for me. And I can't think of another band that sounds like them. So this album to me is like one of the better indie rock records I've ever heard. Personally, like for my tastes, love all the guitar work, love Dave's voice. You take out those last 3 songs, this is a nearly perfect record for me. So I'm going to give it a solid 8.
A solid 8. Okay.
I almost went like, you know what? Fuck it. 8.3.
Oh, boy. Okay.
You know what?
Where'd the point 3 come from?
You know what? I found it. It was under the fucking couch cushion.
Oh, fuck, dude. Yeah, you gotta keep track of that shit. It'll get away from you. Oh, and we're going up, baby.
I'm standing up now.
We're rising up in this fucking world.
Now
That
I'm getting
8.3 gave him the power.
Yeah, now I'm getting excited. Now I got blood in my veins going. Yeah, 8.3. Super, super happy with this album. Never got bored listening to it, you know, throughout the course of getting ready for this show. So, yeah, man.
Yeah. I think it's a great alt rock album to me. It's very catchy through a lot of parts. There's a lot of I don't know, there's a lot of interesting shit that's happening in the background that you could easily not notice. And the more you listen to it, the more you're like, oh, there's actually like this weird, like, kind of clacking part that I didn't hear in the background. There's this weird, like, kind of guitar part that I didn't hear before. And I'm always a fan of that. I
wish they had on anywhere online. I wish they provided information about like who played what and what instruments were played on some of these songs, because there were some times where I couldn't tell if it was a keyboard or a guitar.
Would that not be in the vinyl?
Honestly, I haven't looked. I should have pulled it out. I should have pulled it out.
All right, so you haven't looked that much.
No, I mean, dude, since I moved to California, I haven't been able to listen to any of my vinyl. So they've just been kind of sitting there collecting dust for 3
It's a
years
shame.
now. Dude, I've literally today was thinking that I really miss it. And I was part of a vinyl club, so they were sending me, which was really cool.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, they were sending me 3 albums a month based on what I listened to on Spotify, which I thought was such a cool idea. Lots of great stuff that I never would have discovered had I not been part of that club. But there's at least 3 or 4 months worth of records, which means like 9 to 12 albums that I own that I've never listened to because I didn't get to because of moving and fucking living in this tiny apartment complex where my speakers are like 3.5 feet tall. If I play any record in this apartment, it's gonna like rattle the fucking building.
That's a shame, dude.
That's called fucking altruism right there. That's sacrifice, dude. I've had multiple people say like, dude, fuck it, play your albums during the day. What people are gonna complain about music during the day, and I'm like, you don't understand. I could literally hear them like have their conversations during dinner downstairs. Like it's
Oh man,
we can hear everything, dude. They must hear us having sex all the time. And the most
Oh, dude, fuck yeah.
fuck
Show
yeah. I
who's
mean,
boss.
I'm purposefully vocal during that, but
No, yeah, you say fuck you, Dennis. Yeah,
Yeah.
Getting this
Oh,
fucking. I'm fucking, dude.
I'm like hate fucking my neighbor. Well, it's even more awkward because our bedroom is above their kid's bedroom, who's like 4. And we can hear him do everything down there. And I'm just like, well, homie's getting a lesson in love every time we we get into
They're
it.
just dancing, kids. They're just dancing.
Yeah, we're just wrestling.
They're just wrestling. I don't know. They're playing fucking Just Dance.
They're just doing cardio up there. It's just cardio, son.
I'm gonna give this album. It's gonna be a little lower. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say it. It's gonna be a 7.3.
Okay.
I'll meet your 0.3. It's pretty good.
That's
I like it.
the critics. You're right there with the critics of it.
I think at first glance it can be kind of basic, aside from a couple instances, and then the more you get into it, the more, hey, this is great. There's a lot of catchy shit. There's a lot of like really poppy things that make you want to dance.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of interesting. I love the lyrics. I love the bass and the drums and the guitar. It's great throughout. I think it just kind of lost me sometimes, like on the latter half of the album, or the last, I don't know, last 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah, even like
Some songs went a little too long.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
But I mean, all around solid record.
7.3 is a very good score, and according to Metacritic, like anything that's around like mid 7s is like critical acclaim.
Well, the way they do shit, it's like anything below an 8 is like trash. Dude.
Oh. Well, okay, I guess it says like this album has a score of 71 out of 100 on Metacritic, indicating generally favorable reception.
Okay, so I was better than them.
Yeah.
By about 2 points.
By about 2 points, and that's basically what you're saying. You're like, generally this is a very favorable album. Like it's, there's nothing. Yeah, that's the thing is I'm such a fucking asshole because I desire balance and approachability in my music, but I also want to be surprised and thrown off guard at the same time. And I'm just like, I can't have both.
That's tough, dude.
That's tough. And so I feel like these guys do kind of check both those boxes. Same as Arx Bandits. They check both boxes where it's
in totally different ways.
In totally different ways, for sure. But kind of both proggy, right? You could say. More Arx Bandits. Yeah. The Bandits are a lot more proggy than these guys. But all right. 8.3, 7.3. I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that.
Well, I'm excited to hear about. I mean, I think I know what your favorite songs are, but
probably.
Let's get into it.
So yeah, so before that, my honorable mentions are, excluding the last 3 songs, all the songs except my 2 choice nugs.
Sure.
So I hope we have different. Choice nugs because I want to talk about multiple songs.
I think we have to share at least one,
We must.
but I don't know which one it is.
Well, what my first choice nug, and it has been and always will be my favorite song on this album, is Old and Grey.
Oh, dang gray.
I love how long the song takes to kick in. You know, is that like chung, 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 further from the edges, further from the trim.
Yeah, with these kind of vocal,
Super weird. Like made me think of Miracle Musical, you know?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. But then, man, once it kicks in, it's like this really fun, bouncy rhythm. Love the melodies for the whole song. I think the song is just like, the melodies are beautiful, almost kind of romantic sounding at times, but super weird and theatrical. Like, this sounds like it could be the opening song of a musical, you know, like letting
I don't know what kind of musicals you're into.
alternative,
but
bro. Fucking
alternative, like Green Day's American Idiot.
yeah,
bro.
only the cool ones. Spider-Man, the U2 Spider-Man one, and American Idiot. Those are the only fucking Broadway musicals I like.
It does have a lot of dynamic waves, though.
It does.
In a cool and dramatic way.
Yeah, the way the song builds just and continues to build and continues to build, and when it finally kicks in, it's not the same thing. It continues to build, and it builds up to this point where for the last minute and a half or something, they just expertly just fucking drop everything and just have the guitar playing one note while the singer is singing the chorus of the song, which only comes in like at the last 4-minute mark or something, you know. And I love that. It is such a weird opening track, and I love it.
Well, fuck yeah, man.
Is that not one of your NARs at least?
I don't think it's one of my narnables.
Damn, I thought it was gonna be one of your favorites.
No, man. But one of my favorites isn't coming too late after that. I'll go through my honorable mentions.
Okay, cool. Because I want to talk about songs.
This was actually going to be one of my choices, but throughout this episode, I kind of enjoyed one other song better. One of my honorables is Fever.
Dude, Fever is my other choice nug.
Damn. Well, let's talk about it. The song number 2.
Song number 2. I think I love the transition between Old and Grey and Fever. I think it's like fucking expertly done.
Sure. Yeah.
I love the melody when the fever passes. So catchy. And the fucking arpeggio, which I can't figure out if it's a synth or guitar, that
yeah.
Oh man, it's so good. Kind of 80s sounding too, so it adds this kind of like, the drums sound punchier. Like they're really coming through on this song. The drums are loud on this song, and it's just
and they got a nice groove to them.
And they got a really nice groove to them. And the guitars have that really cool, like, jangly, wah-y, like, wow, wow, wow. Just these little moments. Like, there's so many moments in Fever.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of, I remember when we were in a band together, you were like, yeah, I want a song where, like, the instruments all come in and then drop out and then come in and then drop out. And that reminded me a lot of this song reminded me a lot of those moments.
Yes.
There's a lot of, like, kind of moments on here.
Yeah, and the drums just like, they'll go from like kind of opening up and getting a little rockin' just to back to the
yeah,
you know, and it's all so controlled and like disciplined.
Yes, yeah, I think that's a good word for it.
Yeah, it's just man, and just, you know, me and you share that love of just like transitions and one song.
Dude, you have no idea.
Dude, oh god. Yeah, you love it a little bit more than me. I didn't realize how you're passionate for transitions.
Baby, let's go.
Yeah, you got me beat on that one. But Yeah, man, like just that transition from Old and Grey to Fever is just like, it makes me laugh and smile every time it happens. I'm just like, oh, that's so well done.
It's really great when albums have moments like that. You know, especially like song 1 to song 2. I feel like that's an easy, like if you nail a transition there, you're keeping me in for the rest of the album.
Yeah,
you know?
and you're really keeping me into the beginning of the album. You know, when I'm just like, whoa, this is a new song. You know, like that is just like, that is such a great way to like keep your attention and almost like capture your attention.
I think so.
Yeah,
it gets you invested in the rest of the record.
Yeah, I wish we had thought about this when we were writing music together. Like if I'd never thought about any of these like little artistic decisions. Everything with me was just like pure heart. I wasn't doing a lot of artistry whenever we were in a band.
Our songs were already kind of like 7 minutes long, you know?
True.
They had like enough shit going on. And also, motherfucker, I did make transitions for our record.
Oh, for sure. Oh, no, I mean like planned, you know? I mean like whenever we wrote the song.
Like when we're making the music.
Yeah, because the only time we did that was Overcome to Vampires. Like that was the only smooth transition that we did on any tracks.
I think, yeah. It's a nice thing to keep in mind. It makes an album that much better. I was just listening to Future Sex Love Sounds by Justin Timberlake.
Fucking mention this album. How much have you been listening? Is that our record? Are you setting this up? Like, are you fucking foreshadowing something?
I might, dude. It's a good fucking record.
God,
if you ever listen to it, you'll be like, holy shit, I had no idea there were so many hits on this one thing.
That's the one with like Sexy Back and stuff, right?
It's got Sexy Back. It's got Summer Love. It's got fucking whatever. A lot of shit. And it's a good record, and it flows through all the songs very, very smoothly, very neatly.
God damn it. We're gonna listen to this album, aren't we?
We'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, Fever is a great fucking song.
Great
it was very close. It happened probably 15 minutes ago that I switched it.
That's funny. Yeah, that's true, because I was battling between Silver Self and Fever pretty much this whole episode until I decided, I was like, Fever's my second one. That's it.
I think Be 3 Years Old I liked.
Super fun.
Just very fun, very like, I don't know, kind of weird and all over the place, but still controlled and disciplined. Yeah,
very weird, especially the lyrics and the cadence
and the vocal delivery.
All of that was like, yeah, and the lyrics were just like, yo, you're writing too much, man, and it's not fitting, and there's no flow to the lyrics at all, but it's like, still such a fun song to listen to. Yeah, I like Be 3 Years Old a lot.
But let's get to my first nug, which is track 3, baby. We're just going through the album, you know what I'm saying? Winter, would you still love me? Immediately, by the third beat, so catchy, so poppy, so uppy, so dancey.
Oh, so good. That's the one I swear I saw them play live. Like, for sure. Like,
I think it's really good, man. I thought I would have found an in your voice. Thought I heard an error in your voice. Yeah. I love how the music works in this thing, and they're kind of have odd phrasing with the music and the vocals.
Yes.
I remember it's like 2 or 3 minutes in, they just like drop mid like verse or chorus or something, just leaving the vocals round about one in a wood leaf.
Yeah. And they just like everything drops out except the drums.
Yeah.
During that part. And and I love the that would you still watch me, watch me, watch me, watch me, watch me, watch me. And you just keep building on it, and you're just like, like that just makes me want to like
you want to dance.
It's a great dance track. Super fun song. And that's the first one that they kind of pull out that banjo style Like,
Sure. Yeah.
and still they're playing pretty much the same thing for the entire track, but they bring in that banjo.
I don't know. It just works.
It just
like
works so
I just
well.
like it better. I don't know how to like explain why this works when Bugs doesn't or Old Ash doesn't.
Right. I think it's just energy. There's some energy
It could just be energy.
that fell off towards the end. And
I love these little backup vocals.
Yeah.
Boo up, boo up.
yeah, I love like the muted vocal part during the interlude there, like in the middle, where
Sure,
it's
yeah.
just like they're doing really, really subtle, low voice stuff. Very kind of Future Islands-y, kind of bass to it.
Yeah.
And I like my music with a little ass on it. So I like bass. I like bassy things. Oh, did that? Oh,
Yeah,
is that
no,
too spicy for you?
It's a little spicy.
Okay, my bad. This is a PG. This is a PG show, not PG-13.
And I just want to get to the fucking my second nug,
Go ahead.
which is right after Winter Baby, track 4,
Yeah.
Remote and Dark Years.
Yeah. Oh, all the remote and dark years.
Remote and I don't want anymore.
Dude,
I love it, man.
I love the blinking, 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 blinking. I'm like, that
Yeah,
immediately
yeah.
makes me think of Boys of Summer. One of my favorite songs, honestly.
Apparently.
Love the song. Definitely one of my favorite 80s songs, like no doubt. But yeah, Ramon Dark Years was always kind of the sleeper for me. Because it kind of ends the fun energy of the album and it gets into the
It slows it back down. We're kind of going down here to maybe progress into the next part of the album.
which is true because Silver Self is literally like a fucking dance hall rhythm the whole time.
This is the song I was talking about earlier, where the drummer's kind of doing this thing on the hi-hat while someone else is hitting these toms.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, man. Remote and Dark Years. I could easily say the first 4 songs on this album are my choice nugs. Like,
And they are.
and they are.
The first 2 are yours, the second 2 are mine.
Yeah. And I think Silver Self was almost a favorite of mine. It's always been one of my favorites on the album. I think the background vocals are super interesting on that song. Whoever's doing that soprano harmony, whoever's doing the soprano one of that is like, goddamn.
Yeah. Sure.
And I love the na-na-nas in it, and the kind of Vampire Weekend West African rhythm, like LCD Sound System a little bit. And I really liked Vampires a lot. Vampires is a great song.
Yeah, Vampires has more of a kind of a steady, more rock and groove to it.
Yeah, it feels like they didn't know where to go with the music a little bit. Like, where do we go from here?
But they kept it short.
But they kept it short, and I think they did play the same thing for about 3 minutes, but it does stand out a little bit in a bad way of like maybe being a little bit more basic, or you could say boring, than all the songs we heard prior to it. But it's still like such a fun, catchy song. The drums are great on it, and it really pushes that 80s vibe over the edge. So yeah, man, lots of like potential favorite songs on this album. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people who love this record all have different favorite songs,
Sure.
Yeah.
Would you be surprised if someone chose one of the last 3 songs?
Very. Other than Important, I would be very surprised.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for listening. You can find us on iTunes, YouTube, where we got video, other podcasting websites where it's just audio. We have an Instagram, I guess.
We do.
We do.
It's not,
We do.
we're not active on it. But hey guys, give us a reason to be active on Instagram. We'll fucking go live sometimes. We'll, we're down to live stream. We want to do some new shit with the podcast, but it's like people got to listen for us to invest more time in this.
If y'all want to listen to us live stream watching wrestling, that's just a bullet we're willing to take.
Yeah, I'm willing to do that. And by the way, Bo's officially up, so I gotta go. Yeah. So
All right.
let's
Thank
close
you all
it.
for listening so much. Lucas, this was good.
This is good.
All right. Bye, buddies.
Bye.